All right, so welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So let's jump into today's email. So a quote and some related teaching, which will lead us nicely into our lesson. Okay, so let's share my screen with you. Oh, wait, there we go. Okay. Okay, so if you can read that headline quote for us, please.
Act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end.
Yeah, so this was quote by Immanuel Kant. He was a famous German philosopher, one of the central Enlightenment thinkers of the 18th century. And he really restates the golden rule of behavior, which is just to behave towards others as you want them to behave towards you, and gives us another helpful perspective on human relationships. So, how is it helpful? You might be asked. Because if you see any person only as a means to an end, you will almost certainly try to manipulate them to get what your ego or self-concept thinks it needs to be happy. Oh, okay, so I need you to do this in order for me to be happy. You need to meet my defined need. And this is how special relationships work. That will lead to, Yeshua calls a special unholy relationship, where the person that will strengthen both people's false belief in their self-concept. The alternative that Yeshua offers us, Kant alludes to in today's quote, is the holy or an alternative language, wholly aware relationship, in which you perceive the relationship as both a means to help you learn to let go of your self-concept that blocks your awareness of love's presence and the end of the hero's journey of awakening. Because you can experience perfect or unconditional love for that person every moment. It kind of, speaks to what we were talking about in terms of the paradox of awakening. It's the reconciliation of the means and the end, and they merge into one experience that then resolves that paradox, doesn't it? So in a moment, you've practiced and you've practiced, and then suddenly you come into a moment of satori where you're just in the awareness of your true self. Then there's no more means or end. It just is the one experience, which is ultimately what happens if you keep going on the hero's journey. In the end, there's no need for a journey. You arrive at the destination, you remain there permanently. There's no more journey. So means and end become reconciled in you, in your own mind. But it happens through the experience of it. They're not reconciled to start with. You kind of have to work through a process. That process is called spiritual awakening, various spiritual practices to help you to do that. And then at some point, you don't know when, the awakening happens, and there's a collapse, a merging of the means and the end as one. So God in our alternative possibility Go language is translated as pure formless awareness of perfect love. So the awareness of perfect or unconditional love that arises in a holy relationship is both an important stepping stone to pure formless awareness of the same perfect love that transcends all limitations, and the experience of perfect love itself. In the moments when, Course in Miracles terminology, the holy instance, when we are wholly aware of the person's true nature as the one self or Christ identity that we share with them. The theory makes sense, you might be thinking, but how do I apply it in practice? So what you do is you continuously forgive, or in our terminology, let go of any negative thoughts or emotions triggered by your relationships with seeming other people that block your awareness of perfect love and obscure your and their true identity as the Christ or oneself. So you make it a practice to let go of any negativity as it arises. You can remind yourself to do this in any interaction with another human being, especially those with whom you're currently in close or special relationships, with one simple greeting. And that is the beautiful greeting, Namaste. So do you want to read that? That was actually on the in the bathroom of Deborah's got that on her wall. So I just took a photo and dropped it.
Yeah. Namaste.
So do you want to read that?
Yep. Namaste. I honor the place in you that is the same in me. I honor the place in you where the whole universe resides. I honor the place in you of love, of light, of peace, and of truth. I honor the place in you that is the same in me. There is but one Namaste.
So that's what it really means. When you say Namaste, it's saying, I see you as myself. I see you as me. Really. It's a unitive greeting. Not I, separate self, greet you. It's like I see you as one with me. That's what Namaste means. So when you say it, it can anchor an entire thought system and related experience into your awareness. Just by saying Namaste, you're really encapsulating this idea of radical forgiveness, of letting go of any differences, of perceiving the other person as yourself, as one, all in one word. So that word can become a key kind of anchor phrase. In neurolinguistic program, they talk about anchors. So you could use Namaste, and by saying it to a person, either aloud or if it's not appropriate, because somebody's like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you mean, because they don't know the word. They're not in that in a awakening. But you can say it silently. You see the person, yeah, Namaste. I see you as you really are. I see you as myself in this moment. I perceive you as one mind with me. That's what it really says, this greeting. And so that leads us nicely into our session and this discussion on the idea of Namaste, Sanskrit term, which it captures so much. This is a whole teaching in itself, encapsulated in the one word that I'm honoring. Well, let's go through it. I honor the place in you that is the same in me. So there is a place, maybe a state of mind would be a better saying, a state of mind in me that is exactly the same as in you. Even if we are not experiencing that state currently, we're in another state, the potential remains there. So I honor the place in you where the whole universe resides. I honor the place in you of love, of light, of peace, and of truth. You're saying in Namaste, I honor all of this with that greeting. I see you as you really are in your highest self, the Christ self, or the true self, which is the same as me. So we are one. There is but one of us here because we are the same self with the same light, the same peace, the same joy, the same truth. It's all in both of us. And if I acknowledge that, I accept that, then how can I possibly have a conflict with you if I fully accept that truth? Because all the apparent conflicts of the world deny that truth in the name of something else, because there's something else comes into your mind to cover over this truth and convince you that now there's something else is true. And now you're not in this very high awareness, this unity consciousness. You're now in a state of separation. And that's, of course, exactly where the ego wants to keep you. separated, alone, believing that you really are a body living a separate life, and you're separate from everyone else, and your interests are not the same as theirs, and so it goes. And of course, all of our pain and our suffering happens because of that misperception. All right. So that leads us nicely into our lesson for today. So let's jump into that. Okay, so that goes up. Lesson 318. Okay. So in me, salvation's means and end are one. I'm going to go with that.
In
Read
my
that.
salvation, in my salvation means an end or one.
In me, salvation's means and end.
In me, salvation's means and end are one. The means and end of awakening are one in me.
Yeah. So what does that actually mean? The means and the end. Well, let's see what Yeshua has to say about it. All right. So if you can read that first paragraph in the original sentence by sentence, and then the alternative.
In me, God's Holy Son are reconciled all parts of heaven's plan to save the world. In me, perfect love's innocent extension, all parts of its plan to awaken the world are reconciled. What could conflict when all the parts have but one purpose and one aim? What could conflict when all the parts have one purpose and one aim? How could there be a single part that stands alone, or one of more or less importance than the rest? How could there be a single part that stands alone, or one or more or less importance than the rest? I am the means by which God's Son is saved, because salvation's purpose is to find the sinlessness that God has placed in me. I am the means by which perfect love's extension is awakened, because awakening's purpose is to find the innocence that perfect love guarantees is within me. I was created as the thing I seek. I am extended as what I seek. I am the goal the world is searching for. I am the goal the world is searching for. I am God's Son, His eternal love. I am perfect love's extension, its one eternal love. I am God's Son, His one eternal, I am salvation's means and end as well. I am awakening's means and end as well. So from the top.
Yeah.
In me, perfect love's innocent extension, all parts of its plan to awaken the world are reconciled. What could conflict when all the parts have only one purpose and one aim? How could there be a single part that stands alone, or one or more or less importance than the rest? I am the means by which perfect love's extension is awakened, because awakening's purpose is to find the innocence that perfect love guarantees is within me. I am extended as what I seek. I am the goal the world is searching for. I am perfect love's extension, its one eternal love. I am the means and end of awakening as well. I am the means and end of
maybe we'll make it. I am both.
Mm.
So both the means and end of awakening. Okay, so what's he saying in here?
I'm not sure what that sentence means at the bottom. I am the means and end of awakening. End of awakening.
Both the means and end. So the end is the final outcome, the goal, and the means is the process to get there, the journey to get there.
Okay, right.
So if I am both the means and the end, then the means of awakening is in me. The forgiveness, the letting go, spiritual practices, and the end result is within me as well, because that true self that is unaffected by any worldly thoughts is still there. So the means and the end collapse into one and become one whole complete experience, which is the resolution. It's funny you mentioned that paradox of, well, are we enlightened? How does this enlightenment thing work? We already, the teaching is we are already awakened in truth. And yet we need to do certain things to awaken. So there's a paradox there. Inherent in any spiritual teaching and spiritual path, because they say, the good ones say you are already there, but then they also say, but you need to do various things to get there. It's a paradox, isn't it?
Mm.
It's a paradox caused by the insanity of the ego's thought system, because we pulled off the impossible. And we now think that we've separated from what we really are. So we have to take a journey back to establishing that understanding, that knowledge of who we are again. And that journey from where we currently sit, rooted in the ego, back into full awareness of the truth is the means of awakening, which is forgiveness or letting go. And then, but the end is always there. Because what's directing you is that awareness within you, pure formless awareness of perfect love, which calls you to do the spiritual practices, which is trying to awaken you to itself. So that's why you're both the means and the end simultaneously. It's both. Eventually, means and end collapse into one. There are no longer means needed when you have attained the end, and the end becomes your whole experience. The means disappear. In other words, forgiveness, time, perception, all of this demonstrated here disappears, and is not required. Let's just from that. So all of this stuff, we look at the Holy Trinity operating system, everything that is not God, pure formless awareness of perfect love and alternative language, simply disappears, because when there's just one awareness, you don't need a means anymore. There's no distinction left between means and end. That's part of duality, part of the idea that you can be separate from what you really are. But while we seem to be separated, there is a means that's necessary, and that is the at-one-ment or the awakening process that happens through correcting our perception, which happens through forgiveness or letting go. Those are miracles. And so that is necessary temporarily to remind you, help you to remember pure formless awareness of perfect love. Completely. Does that make sense? So this is a temporary construct. This isn't ultimate truth, this Holy Trinity idea. The only ultimate truth lies here in this blue oval, in perfect, pure formless awareness of perfect love. But the true self, the Christ, and our Holy Spirit and its perceptions are very useful in uniting means and end in you. So you need those means until all of that is done, you collapse it, and the means and end unite in one singular experience that we call pure formless awareness of perfect love, which was always already there, but it needed to be revealed. It's a bit like saying, well, underneath, let's say you've got a beautiful piece of furniture, beautiful wood, but it's covered in paint, a couple of layers of paint. You have to clean that paint off first. So it was always beautiful. It was always there, but it has to be revealed. And so the process to reveal it is the awakening. You got to take away all the gunk of the ego to reveal what was already there, and that's the means, which then leads to the end. And once you've achieved the end, there's no more means needed. You don't need to clean paint away when this masterpiece has been revealed in its true magnificence within you. Okay, so does that clarify it, man?
Yes.
They're both in you, fortunately, because if they weren't, you wouldn't be able to find your way home. If there was no end already there, then you would have to be trying to become the true self, become like God, and would obviously fail because you can't make yourself as perfect. The ego is very imperfect. So that's always already there. That's the source, which is within you. And then the means is the remembrance of that source, the remembrance of perfect love that then inspires you to do various things, such as forgiveness or letting go, such as meditation, as the means to awaken to this awareness that is always there, has always been there. And both are required in awakening. If you don't have the end, then there would be no God. The end disappeared. That was what the ego is trying to tell you. Then you would be stuck in time and space and doomed to live out an egoic life forever, time after time. Fortunately, there is an end. It's there, but the means are needed temporarily. And that's what the Course is focused on. So the Course in Miracles is primarily focused on this level of time and space and all the experiences and events and circumstances and so on that seem to happen, and changing your perception of those to raise yourself up into an awareness of the true self. That's what the focus of the Course is. And then he says very little about this. He just says, well, beyond the scope of our curriculum, and I can't teach you that, and God will take the final step when you're ready. That's as far as he goes. So the focus is on becoming ready and establishing yourself more and more as the Christ or the true self by correcting your mind with true perceptions. Okay, so happy with that. Bit of metaphysics, explanation. So let's go back to the lesson. If you can read number 2, which is a very short prayer, kindly.
Yeah. Let me today, my Father, take the role you offer me in your request that I accept at one for myself. My source today, I choose to take the role you offer me in your request that I accept at one for myself. For thus does what is thereby reconciled in me, because as surely reconciled to you. For so does what is thereby reconciled in me become as surely reconciled to you. And then from the top, my source today, I choose to take the role you offer me in your request that I accept at one for myself. For so does what is thereby reconciled in me become as surely reconciled to you. So it's
what's he saying here?
Well, the source today is asking us to accept our at-one-ment for ourselves, because in that instant, then we're reconciled It's reconciled in me and in the source.
Hmm. That is what is
So we're
thereby
both happy.
reconciled in me, become surely reconciled to you. So we become reconciled to our true self, and we become reconciled to our source, because the true self is just an extension of the source. So it's really telling us in words what this diagram is displaying. As we follow the means of awakening, which is correcting our perception, we become more identified with the true self. So we become reconciled to ourself, know thyself. And that self is a derivative of pure formless awareness of perfect love, because it's one self. So it knows itself, it's peaceful, it's happy, it's content. And all of those qualities come through from the underlying pure formless awareness of perfect love. So it is just an extension of, hence the word extension, son of, extension of this awareness, which we come to know experientially more and more the more we identify with our true self. And the more we forgive or let go, the more we come to identify our true self. And eventually it comes to the point where we merge back into this awareness. God takes the final step, translates into our language, would be, well, we merge back into pure formless awareness of perfect love. We become one with that completely and wholly, and everything else drops away. So the need for a true self or Christ, the need for the Holy Spirit and its reinterpretation of perception, true perceptions, miracles, corrections, etc., etc. All of this drops away. And so the means and the end have become reconciled in God as one awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that is everyone's destiny. Is that clear?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So any other thoughts on this paragraph or on the whole lesson?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, that's clear.
Good. All right. So should we do a meditation on the lesson? And
Yeah.
might actually guide you. We'll, instead of reading this, maybe we'll meditate on it. So I'll read it to you in the meditation. So we'll a slightly longer med, maybe 10 minutes longer, but I'll actually read you. I'll walk you through this in the med. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So all right. So just making yourself comfortable. Sitting in your favorite meditation posture, feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. You close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Nice deep breath in. Clench the sphincter muscle, lock the energy in, draw the energy up your spine to your heart center, draw it up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind, just noticing thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels at all negative or limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. Just breathe into that constriction, easing it up to your breath. And just reminding yourself of today's lesson that in me, awakenings means and end are one, same. Have a sense of attaining that oneness of mind. Breathe it into every pore, every cell, every muscle, your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. And just exhale. Blow it out with the breeze of your breath. Follow the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in this deep peace and contentment. A few moments of stillness. So now just breathe in and out. Your nose, let's deep breath in. You pause as I read. I'm going to read the insert on what is the last judgment to you. And then when I pause, you say the words after me as affirmations of these profound truths. So breathing in. My true self's second coming, Christ's second coming, gives the Son of God an extension of perfect love, this gift. Say that. True self, second coming, gives an extension of perfect love, this gift. And breathing in again through your nose. So you hear the voice for perfect love proclaim that what is false, and what is true has never changed. So repeat those words as you exhale out through the nose. To hear the voice of perfect love proclaim that what is false, and what is true has never changed. Breathing in again. And this is the judgment in which perception ends. First, I perceive a world that has accepted this as true. Rejected from a now corrected mind. Speak those words. Perceive a world that accepted this as true, rejected from a now corrected mind. Breathing in again, feel the energy drawing up the spine to your heart center and crown. And with this innocent vision, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears. Its goal accomplished and its mission done. With this innocent vision, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears. Its goal accomplished and its mission done. Exhale the truth of that and have a sense of just really letting go of any attachment you have to perception. Perception incorporates to see, hear, touch, taste, feel, smell. So breathing in again. And the final judgment of the world contains no condemnation. The last judgment talking about. Breathing in again. For it perceives the world as totally unreal, without sin and wholly purposeless. Breathing in again. Without a cause, and now without a function, in my true self's sight. In my true self's perception. Breathing in again. It merely slips away into nothingness. There it was born, And there it ends as well. Breathing in again. And all the figures in the dream, which the world began, go with it. Breathing in again. Bodies are now useless, will therefore fade away. This extension of perfect love is limitless. So just exhale. And then it will go. Breathing in again. So I, who believe that perfect love's last judgment would condemn everyone to victimhood and suffering, to hell with me, can now accept this holy truth, this pure truth. Breathing in again. Perfect love's judgment is the gift of its correction. All my errors, freeing me from them and all effects they ever seemed to have. Breathing in again. To fear perfect love's freeing awareness is only to fear complete release from suffering and return to peace, security, happiness, and union with my own identity. Breathing in again. So perfect love's final judgment is as unconditionally loving as every step its appointed plan to bless its extension and call it to return to the eternal peace perfect love shares with it. Breathing in again, so I'm not afraid of love. Only this judgment can heal all my sorrow, wipe away all my tears, and gently waken from my dream of pain, extension, whom perfect love acknowledges as its. Only judgment can heal all my sorrow. Repeat those words. Wipe away all my tears and gently waken from my dream of pain. Extension, perfect love acknowledges as its. Breathing in again. So I'm not afraid of this. Awakening lost, and I'm welcomed. And the world awaits my glad acceptance. That will set it free. Breathing in again. This is perfect love's final judgment. You are still my holy aware extension, forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved. As limitless as your source, and completely changeless and forever pure. Therefore, awaken and return to me. I am your source, and you are my extension. Say those words again. How still my wholly aware extension, forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved. Breathe all that in. As limitless. Maybe say that in the first person. I am still. Breathe in. Say, I am still my wholly aware extension of perfect love. Forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved. Repeat those words. One hand in your heart center. Breathe in again. As limitless as my source and completely changeless and forever pure. Feel that limitless purity in your mind and your heart. Therefore, I choose to awaken and return to pure formless awareness, perfect love. It is my source and I am its extension. So it is. Amen. So it is. Amen means so be it, or so it is. So prepares us nicely for the lesson 318. So breathing in again. In me, salvation's means and end are one. Or alternatively, the means and end of awakening are one in me. So I have both the means and end of awakening. I am both the means and end of awakening. I am forgiveness for letting go, which is the means, and I am also the ultimate truth of pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is the end to which all awakening practices like letting go are directed to bring about the awareness of that end. So the means and the end ultimately collapse into one singular experience in your mind, which you experience as yourself, one awareness. It's not separate from anyone else's awareness. You realize at that level that it is the same awareness as everyone else's. Let's hear what Yeshua has to say about this. Breathing in again. So in me, perfect love's innocent extension, all parts of its plan to awaken the world are reconciled. All parts of its plan to awaken the world are reconciled. Repeat those words. In me, as perfect love's extension. So breathing in again. What could conflict when all the parts have only one purpose and one aim? Breathing in again. Deep full inhale breath, maximal inhale breath. You can feel energy rising up the spine as you do that. Clench your sphincter muscle. Do that with every breath. So how could there be a single part that stands alone, or one of more or less importance than the rest? Just breathing in again. And the means which perfect love's extension is awakened. Because awakening's purpose is to find the innocence that perfect love guarantees is within me. Feel that in your heart and your mind. Exhale, drop into that truth. Feel the innocence, the purity, this pure formless awareness arising in you, enveloping you, embracing you, comforting you. I am extended as what I seek. Originally, as I was created as the thing I seek. Extended as what I seek. I am the goal the world is searching for. And breathe in on that, and exhale as you repeat those words. I am the goal the world is searching for. Breathe in again. I am perfect love's extension to one eternal love. And both the means and end of awakening. And perfect love's extension, and it's one eternal love. And both the means and end of awakening simultaneously. So you have the means for awakening, you have the end goal, which is pure formless awareness, perfect love, calling you always back to your true awareness, your own pure formless awareness, perfect love in your mind. That is the ultimate truth. Breathing in again, so just final prayer. My source, today I choose to take the role you offer me in your requests that I accept at one and for myself. Breathe that in and accept it. Accept this choice. I choose to take the role you offer me, your request that I accept at one and for myself. So that's all you have to do. Accept that you are one self, that you are not separate from others. Accept it fully, wholly, and completely. You cannot judge yourself separate from anyone else. For so does what is thereby reconciled in me become as surely reconciled to you. And exhale the truth of that. So repeat those words. So does what is thereby reconciled in me become as surely reconciled to you. And exhale, repeat it. Repeat those words and feel that reconciliation. You become your true self, your authentic self. And in that process, you reconcile your mind with your own deepest awareness, pure, formless awareness of perfect love. So you're reconciled with God, which is just your own deepest awareness, your own most innermost awareness. So now experience that unity, that collapsing of means and end into one singular experience for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. You just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into the stillness, into the peace. And called the peace of God, peace of perfect love that surpasses all understanding. So just allow that experience. It's one awareness. So there's no more means, there's no more end. It's just a singular awareness to come over you, sink into it. Breathe and watch your breath going in and out through the nostrils to help you just stay in this very empty, open, aware state for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. So any thoughts, any emotions coming up? Just let them go. Blow them all away with the breeze of your breath. Remind yourself of the means and end of awakening within you right now. And restore your mind into that very peaceful, calm, tranquil state. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into that stillness. Sink into that for another minute or two of deep silence. Just be at peace. So just gently coming back to awareness of the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, seeing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels at all negative or limiting, contracted or constricting in any way. Let's breathe into that, and you're going to remind yourself that awakening's means and end are one with me right now. So Exhale, blow anything out. It seems to block that awareness. It seems to keep you stuck. Let it go with the breeze of your breath, blowing it away like a dark cloud. It's leaving you. It's going, gone. From the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out, and you just rest. It's calm, quiet, peaceful awareness. The weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Just a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose perhaps. Notice what you're hearing. Noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. Without illusions, only the truth is true. Anchor yourself into that state. The rest of the session, the rest of the evening. Setting that intention, so it is said, so it is done. And now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, ground yourself back into this so-called reality, looking at any object. Just for a few seconds, noticing that this awareness that you connect with quite deeply, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it, is still there, underlying whatever sense perception you have. You can close your eyes briefly, open them again, and notice nothing's really changed. It's the identical awareness. You do that for another few objects, just for a few seconds at a time with each, and then just move to the next and the next. And notice that the awareness is the same, identical awareness. Nothing has really changed at all. And so you become aware that this awareness is always there. It's always present, ever present, and it cannot ever be undone. And that is what we practice meditation and other spiritual practices to become aware of. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. Okay, so shall we have a look at today's, let's have a look. Yeah, you still there, Elaine?
Yep, I'm here. Yeah.
All right, so let's have a look at the next section of the psychotherapy supplement, purpose, process, and practices, it's called, psychotherapy. So we've done the limits on psychotherapy, which we did yesterday. That's section 2.2. This is, sorry, 2.1. This is 2.2, called the place of religion in psychotherapy. So let's just share my screen. Okay, shall I just expand that a bit? Make it slightly bigger. Place of religion and psychotherapy. Okay, so shall we go for it?
Yeah.
And just translate as we go. The only thing to translate really here is God, pure forms, awareness of perfect love.
Right. To be a teacher of God or pure formless awareness of perfect love, it is not necessary to be religious or even to believe in God to any recognizable extent. It is necessary, however, to teach forgiveness rather than condemnation. Even in this, complete consistency is not required. The one who had achieved that point could teach awakening, teach awakening completely within an instant and without a word. Yet he who has learned all things does not need a teacher, and the healed have no need for a therapist. Relationships are still the temple of the Holy Spirit. Or is that the remembrance of perfect love?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they will be made perfect in time and restored to eternity.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
Well, the teacher of perfect love, it's not necessary to be religious or believe in God. However, it is. However, you do need to teach forgiveness rather than condemnation.
Forgiveness or letting go.
But it's saying you don't need complete consistency is not required.
So he is really, if you've really learned this, then you don't need a teacher. The healed have no need for a therapist. So psychotherapy is the means for awakening. You don't need it if you're already awakened. That's what he's saying. So we only need psychotherapy as long as there's still the ego and we're unhealed in our minds. And then the final statement: relationships are still the temple of the Holy Spirit. They will be made perfect in time and restored to eternity. So in this temple of the relationship, the Holy Spirit, which is just the remembrance of perfect love, now you got to invite it into that temple and invite perfect love to help both people in the relationship to let go of their tendency to want to separate from each other and to start uniting instead. And that is all part of the process of restoration to eternity. That's the one-man process. That's the awakening process. The means, the end is, well, eventually we just one awareness. There are no relationships in heaven because there's only a singular awareness, which we are all one with. So there's no sense of a separate self. So all of it collapses into that one awareness. Every relationship is made holy in that awareness. Okay. Any other thoughts on?
Yeah, that's
thoughts
great.
on paragraph 1? Okay. So formal religion has no place in psychotherapy.
Formal religion has no place in psychotherapy, but it also has no place in religion. In this world,
no real place in religion.
It has no real place in religion.
Gone are the formal religion. Gone are most of the world's formal religious traditions. He just said there's no real place in religion. Religion actually means to tie or bind together. It comes from the Latin religare, which means to tie or bind together. So what really ties or binds you together is the Holy Spirit. So you don't need all the other structures, the rules and the traditions and the rituals and various churches and mosques and whatever it is that people build, all the structures. You don't really need that, because what ties or binds you together is the Holy Spirit, which is just a remembrance of who you really are. And that is always present in every time, in every place. Our job is to be conscious of that. All right, carry on.
In this world, there is an astonishing tendency to join contradictory words into one term without perceiving the contradiction at all. The attempt to formalize religion is so obviously an ego attempt to reconcile the
irreconcilable.
Yeah,
irreconcilable.
Yeah. That is hardly requires elaboration here. Religion is experience. Psychotherapy is experience. At the highest levels, they become one. Neither is truth itself, but both can lead to truth. What can be necessary to find truth, which remains perfectly obvious, but to remove the seeming obstacles to true awareness.
Okay, so what point's he making there? What's he saying there in summary?
Well, the formal religion just has no place in psychotherapy, but it also has no real place in religion. They both together can lead to our true awareness and remove seeming obstacles. So
yeah, he's talking about an experience. Religion is experience. Psychotherapy is experience. Okay? So it's an inner experience that leads you to an awareness of your own true nature. That's what both of them are leading to. So at the highest levels, they become one. Whether you call it a religious path, a spiritual path, no path, psychotherapy, doesn't really matter, because it's the experience that matters. Whereas the attempt to formalize religion, as he says, is so obviously an ego attempt. The separate self tries to come in and reconcile the irreconcilable. It hardly requires elaboration. So the ego says, okay, well, you've now got religion, which is designed to awaken the true self and do away with the ego, but we're going to try and hijack that and try and bring the ego into this pursuit of awakening. And then it formalizes it, and it becomes about the form and the tradition, and people start focusing on, instead of on the inner experience, they start focusing on the outer stuff. Well, what clothes do I wear when I go to church? And if I'm a part of the church, what position do I have in the church? And is that higher than someone else's or lower than someone else's? How big is our church compared to someone else? And how much money do we have? How much money can we raise? And so on and so on and so on. And on it goes. As he says, it doesn't require any elaboration, because it's obviously an ego attempt to reconcile the irreconcilable. You're trying to bring the illusion into the truth, rather than the truth into the illusion, and dispel the illusions. And so most formal religions do that. And therefore, they're not really helpful at all. As he says, it has no real place. Formal religion has no real place in true religion. In other words, the true religion is the mystic experience, your own connection with God. That's mysticism. Now, most formal religions are completely against mysticism, because it contradicts their ego's attempt to try and hijack the religion for its purposes. So the mystics and formal religious leaders have never spoken the same language. They've never agreed. And as we've seen in history, often that results in the mystics either being excommunicated from society or killed. In Yeshua's case, he was murdered because they didn't want that kind of teaching coming into the formal religious structure that they'd established, because it was going to, well, really just teach people that it wasn't true. What they were teaching was false, and teach them the truth. All right, happy to move to number 3. Elaine, are you still there? Can you read number 3, please?
Yeah. Sorry. Yep. Okay. No one who learns to forgive can fail to remember God or pure formless awareness of perfect love. Forgiveness then is all that need be taught, because it is all that need be learned.
Translate forgiveness as letting go.
Oh, yeah.
No one who learns to let go fail to remember pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yeah. All blocks to the remembrance of perfect love are forms of unletting go.
Of not letting go.
Okay, not letting
Yeah,
go.
of
Sorry.
not letting go. No.
Yeah, and nothing. Yeah. Right. Don't forget nothing else. This is never apparent to the patient, and only rarely so to the therapist. The world has marshaled all its forces against this one awareness, for in it lies the ending of the world and all it stands for.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
So no one who learns to let go can fail to remember the perfect love. So letting go is the main, that's it, that's the main number one, to let go of all the blocks of this remembrance of perfect love.
Yeah, I mean,
Else.
it's completely logical. You've got a block. Well, the only way to get rid of the block is to let it go.
Yeah.
So that you can reveal what it was covering, blocking. So the blocks are the veil of illusion, covers over this true awareness that's buried underneath them. So cut them away, let them go, and then what's already there is revealed. So you can see how that makes, in terms of the means and end idea, makes complete sense. The end is already there. That awareness is there, but it's just covered over. So you have to go through a process of uncovering it. The analogy I used was take some priceless piece of furniture or painting, and it's covered over with a whole lot of gunk and paint, and you have to uncover that. And then what was always there but not evident then becomes revealed. So that process of doing that restoration work is the spiritual practice, which we're being asked to do. And that process involves letting go. That's all. Just a letting go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence and the covering over it, and that reveals then the truth. So it makes complete sense, letting go. If it is already there, see the philosophy. If it's already there, then letting go makes complete sense. If it's not already there and you think you have to become it, then letting go makes no sense at all. Which is why in a lot of teachings and formal religions, there's not really much emphasis on letting go of forgiveness, because they're saying, well, you've got to become it through these practices. You've got to somehow, grow into this, in personal growth, grow into this expanded version of yourself. And so that doesn't involve letting go, that it involves adding on to yourself and becoming something greater than you already are. Well, that is completely contradictory to the idea that you already are perfect and you simply have to let go of what blocks that. Those are the two essential philosophies, and they don't meet. You can't really reconcile them, because the one is saying you're already whole, complete, and perfect, and you need to do nothing except let go of what blocks you. The other is saying, well, you're actually inadequate and imperfect, but somehow you're going to grow into something that's better. And of course, you'll never achieve perfection, and when does growth ever stop? You never get there. That's the constant desiring and never achieving it, never getting there. So that's largely what most teachings in the Western world have gone into, that seeking and desiring and never really finding the answer. And this teaching says, no, it's always there. So focus your time and your energy in this world on letting go of the blocks. And if you focus on that, well, this is the letting go, the forgiveness, then it's inevitable that which is already there will start to reveal itself more and more, because it was always there. That's a given of this teaching. Okay, so happy to go to number 4 then.
Yeah. Yet it is not the awareness of pure formless awareness of perfect love that constitutes a reasonable goal for psychotherapy. This will come when psychotherapy is complete, for where there is letting go, truth must come. It would be unfair indeed if belief in pure formless awareness of perfect love were necessary to psychotherapeutic success, nor is belief in pure formless awareness of perfect love a really meaningful concept. For pure formless awareness can be but known. Belief implies that unbelief is
To
possible.
translate that as pure formless awareness of perfect love can only be known. You can only know it. You can't really, intellectual belief in it doesn't really work. It's a felt experience. It's a known experience.
Yeah. Belief implies that unbelief is possible, but knowledge of pure formless awareness of perfect love has no true opposite. Not to know pure formless awareness of perfect love is to have no knowledge, and it is to this that all not letting go leads.
Yeah, all failure to let go, you have to translate it.
Yeah.
So when we don't have knowledge, when we don't let go, we have no knowledge. We're ignorant.
We're ignorant, yeah.
Without knowledge, one can have only belief. So this is essentially the difference between the mystics of the world and those who have sort of a more formal religious belief. The mystics know. Carl Jung actually was asked, do you believe in God at the end of his life? He said, no, I know God. Very different to know God and to believe in God. You watch The Chosen, you see the difference. The Pharisees and the Sadducees believed in some kind of God, but Yeshua and his disciples knew God. And so it's not an intellectual, conceptual God. It's a felt experience God. It's a God of love where you feel the loving awareness that God is, not some construct in the mind of what God is and all the rules and beliefs that go with that construct, which actually then block the awareness of that love. Those actually block out pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is by definition limitless and doesn't have all those rules. And everyone, even the theologians, deep down, they yearn for the mystic experience of God. Nicodemus was a good one. If you watch The Chosen. So he's a formal theologian. He's the top of his game, but he realizes how limited he is. He's going, I don't know God. Like, I've studied, I know the Torah. I can recite passages of the Torah. I can teach you the theory. And I've reached the top of that game because he's the chief rabbi in the Sanhedrin. But he realizes when he comes across someone like Yeshua that he doesn't know anything. He doesn't have knowledge of God, and he's fascinated because he wants it. So then he's drawn to Jesus, to Yeshua, because he wants to know, well, how do you know this? How do you have this knowledge? Well, how can I get this knowledge? So in the heart of every theologian is a mystic, just a very blocked one, stuck one. And all religion started out as mystic experience. Christianity, Yeshua's mystic experiences. He went into the desert and he had mystic experiences. He had his own deep knowledge of God. And then, of course, it becomes formalized over time. People who don't have that knowledge, and it devolves into belief. And it just becomes a belief in God rather than knowing God. So what he's saying here really is that we don't need to have a belief in God for psychotherapeutic success. In fact, a belief in a false God can be very unhelpful. Believing in traditional version of God is something that would have to be let go of in order to come to the knowledge of God. Knowledge of God is no true opposite. So he's saying, go, the psychotherapy will ultimately, through the process of letting go, will ultimately lead to the knowledge. And you become the mystic who knows God rather than just believes in God. And so this is a path for people who, often they might have started off as having some kind of faith in God, and then you get disillusioned. You go, well, this isn't this God of the church, formal religion. What is this? This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't, I can't feel it. There's no love there. It's a bunch of made up ideas and rules that don't particularly make any sense. And then I look at the behavior of the people who believe in this, and it's not particularly loving or kind. So then we reject that. But in that rejection of formal religion lies now an opening to something else, a deeper experience of God. Even if you know the book The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, who's an avowed atheist, but he spends the whole time deconstructing a false God. This intellectual, theoretical, formalized religious God, the God of vengeance in the Old Testament. Spends the whole book deconstructing that, but doesn't talk about the mystic experience, except very briefly in the preface, like a page or two. He kind of touches on it, but he doesn't consider that could be God, and then go, because he's just trying to deconstruct the illusory God. It's like, okay, well, great, you proved that an illusory God doesn't exist. Well done. That doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It just means that concept of God was false.
Mm.
And actually, if you open, in fact, in some ways, reading that book is helpful to someone who's formally religious. That could be very helpful because it could deconstruct all of that nonsense and then open their minds to something else. So, okay, well, maybe Dawkins hasn't got the full picture. What he's done is he said the false is false, but then he has no knowledge of the truth. You have to look elsewhere for that. That book won't show you that. But he does give a little glimpse of it. He has some quotes by Einstein. Okay, well, he's leading you in the right direction. Start going in that direction of the philosophers and the mystics, and then that can replace the formal religious beliefs. Okay, so happy to go to number 5. Different teaching aids appeal to different people.
Different teaching aids appeal to different people. Some forms of religion have nothing to do with pure formless awareness of perfect love, and some forms of psychotherapy have nothing to do with healing. Yet if pupil and teacher join in sharing one goal, pure formless awareness of perfect love will enter into their relationship because he has been invited to come in.
It has been invited, yeah. That state has been invited to come in.
In the same way, a union of purpose between patient and therapist restores the place of pure formless awareness of perfect love to ascendance, first through Christ's vision, and then through the memory.
That's the true self's vision. First through your true self's vision.
Oh, yeah. First through the true self's vision, and then through the memory of pure formless awareness of perfect love himself.
Itself, yeah. So remember, it becomes it. Him becomes it. Yeah. Sorry, I mean this. I should have translated this. I just never had the time.
Right.
So
yeah.
We'll do that next year.
Yeah. The process of psychotherapy is to return to sanity. Teacher and pupil, therapist and patient are all insane, or they would not be here. Together they can find a pathway out, or no one will find sanity alone.
Now, so what's he saying in that one?
Well, some forms of religion have nothing to do with pure formless awareness or perfect love, and some forms of psychotherapy have nothing to do with healing. But if you've got the pupil and teacher sharing one goal, then they can enter into this relationship and be invited to come in to pure formless awareness of perfect love. So the process of psychotherapy is to return to sanity, because none of us are sane here. Teacher and
It's
pupil.
basically saying you're all in the asylum, teacher and pupil, therapist and patient. You're all insane or you would not be here. So we're all in the asylum. And what we're trying to do is escape from the asylum, which is the world, escape from the madness. So it's just degrees of insanity. The teacher might be a bit less insane than the pupil. So they have, more sane awareness, but both are insane on some level. Otherwise, you just couldn't be here. Only the insane come here. Together, they can find a pathway out, for no one will find sanity alone. So in their unity, in their relationship, they can find the way together, which is the whole point of any relationship. The holy relationship is designed to help both people find their way home back to this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, he talks about. And then, again, he mentions this Trinity idea. So you got the Christ vision he's talking about, Christ vision, which leads to God, ultimately. So the purpose of psychotherapy is to restore you to an awareness of your true self, and Christ vision, which is your true perceptions that come through letting go. And that then restores eventually you to the pure formless awareness of perfect love. So you can see how consistent this teaching is. All the time he's teaching us the same thing, and we keep referring back to the same diagrams, which illustrate what he's teaching for that reason. So logically consistent teaching and thought system. Okay, so any other thoughts on number 5?
Yeah, no, that's clear.
Yeah, teacher and people are one singular goal, which is to awaken. I think for a lot of therapists, that would be very helpful to understand. They're not really the healer. They are the unhealed healer, trying to heal themselves in and through the process of teaching and healing. If they're psychotherapists, then through that modality or whatever. That's a much more humble attitude, and one which acknowledges the truth that, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have insanity in my own mind. And then there's a kind of unity. You don't set yourself above the patient. You say, well, really, I'm one with you. And, we're figuring this out together. We're on a journey together. And the best compliments I ever had after a retreat I ran was that one of the guys said, look, I don't actually feel like you're the teacher. I feel like you're one with us. Like you're just having a discussion. We're just having a chat about, these things that are of mutual interest. And I was like, yeah, that's a real compliment, because that's the whole point, is that we are the same. Temporarily, one person might have a greater knowledge, awareness of this truth, and then can bring that through, and then they become a teacher of God, and they might, teach this to people who haven't awakened so much. But really, they are the same, and the teaching should be directed towards that sameness, rather than any kind of specialness and saying, I'm the special. And the one guy mentioned, I went to a retreat and he had master teacher. He had a badge saying master teacher. I'm like, well, what are you trying to do? Immediately, you're separating yourself from everyone else by denoting yourself as not just the teacher, the master teacher. Well, dude, we know that you're the teacher because you're standing in front of us teaching. We don't need to be told that. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's just the ego now trying to come in and hijack the whole process of, awakening by, formalizing and say, well, now there's a structure and a hierarchy and I'm the master teacher. And of course, he wasn't open to honest discussion and debate. When I questioned him, he said, zip it. They want to hear it, zip it. I mean, what kind of a teacher says that to any question? That's not an authentic teacher, is it?
Maybe telling that tale, yeah. Yeah, zip it.
So that means really you're not secure and you can't really answer the question. So then it basically means you're defensive. You can't answer that in truth. So then you just shut someone down. No, don't ask that question. Any true teacher will go, no, ask me whatever question, because the truth is true. And if I'm rooted in that, I know that, then whatever question you ask cannot ever threaten the truth. And if you tapped in, you got guidance, then the Holy Spirit will answer whatever the question is. All right. So number 6, if healing is an invitation to God to enter into his kingdom, what difference does it make? You can read that.
If healing is an invitation to pure formless awareness, perfect love, to enter into his or its kingdom, what difference does it make how the invitation is written? Does the paper matter, or the ink, or the pen? Or is it he who writes that gives the invitation? Pure formless awareness of perfect love comes to those who would restore its world, for they have found the way to call to it. If any two are joined, it must be there. It does not matter what their purpose is, but they must share it wholly to succeed. It is impossible to share a goal not blessed by true self, for what is unseen through its eyes is too fragmented to be meaningful.
Okay. So what's he saying in that one in summary?
Well, it doesn't make any difference how the invitation is written. None of those things, like the paper, the ink, the pen. Healing is an invitation for this pure formless awareness to enter the kingdom. So pure formless awareness comes to those who would restore its world, because they found a way to get to find him, to call to him. And if you've got two that are joined, it will be there. If any two are joined, not just two people, I mean. The two with the meaning, the separate self and the Holy Spirit.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I think he's referring to people there. If any two are joined, it must be
He's
there.
talking about
So
just two people. Okay.
2 people. If any 2 people are joined, Christ must be there. The one self must be there, because you can only join in oneself. You can't join with someone if you think you're a separate self from them, can you?
No.
So that's why it says when any, it's a quote from the Bible, actually. When any 2 come together, then I'll, in my name, then I'll be there. So when any 2 come together in my identity, the one self, the true self's identity, and they are both aware of that identity, then the Christ, the true self, will be there, because both people know that as themselves, and they interact from that foundation. Does not matter what their purpose is, but they must share it wholly to succeed. So there can be no fragmentation in oneself. You can't have now something that separates you, because then you wouldn't be oneself. Oneness and separation are mutually exclusive conditions. So if I'm one self, then I cannot be a separate self in any way, shape, or form. So I can have no separate interests or goals whatsoever from the other person. And likewise with the ego, separate self says, well, you're separate and there's no unity. So which is it going to be? You have to choose at which thought system you believe in, and ultimately come to know. It's unseen through his eyes. So what the Christ cannot perceive is too fragmented to be meaningful. So if we look at this diagram again, anything that's happening in this box, the red box of people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, trauma, successes, failures, and all these experiences in time and space that seem to exist and happen. If you don't see it, perceive it from the true self's perspective, the Christ's perspective, with true perceptions, then it's meaningless. This is why he teaches us nothing I see really means anything in this world. It only becomes meaningful if you perceive it from the perspective of the one self that overlooks these things. Somebody says these are all just illusions. They're designed to tempt you to believe in a separate self. But remember that you one self, no matter what. That's the only meaningful interpretation of whatever goes on in the world. That's the Holy Spirit's interpretation, which gives you true perceptions or Christ's vision. So this is totally in alignment. The supplement is, in alignment with the teachings we've learned. It's just, an additional supplement, and it's giving us the true perspective on what psychotherapy really is and what it's designed to achieve. It's true psychotherapy is nothing more than forgiveness or letting go. The art of letting go could be called true psychotherapy. Mm. But he's just framing it for us and giving us some teachings around matters like, does religion have a place in psychotherapy and so on, which is helpful context and can be useful, particularly if you're confused and you believe psychotherapy is something else. I think this should be standard reading for any psychotherapist. Probably most of them have never read it, but it would certainly give them a different perspective on psychotherapy. Okay, so happy with number 6.
Yeah. As true religion heals, so must true psychotherapy be religious. But both have many forms, because no good teacher uses one approach to every pupil. On the contrary, he listens patiently to each one and lets him formulate his own curriculum, not the curriculum's goal, but how he can best reach the aim it sets for him. Perhaps the teacher does not think of pure formless awareness as a part of teaching. Perhaps the psychotherapist does not understand that healing comes from pure formless awareness of perfect love. They can succeed where many who believe that they have found pure formless awareness of perfect love will fail.
Okay, what's he saying in that one?
Well, if true religion heals, so must it be true of psychotherapy? No. It's true psychotherapy be religious, so they're both one of each. They're both the same. Is that what it's saying? But they come in many forms. Yeah. Both come in many forms.
Yeah, true psychotherapy is letting go, and letting go leads you to what would be called a religious experience. If you really do let go, you'll have what's called religious, or I prefer mystic, the mystic experience, or the peak experience, as Abraham Maslow called it. But there are many forms of this. And lets him formulate his own curriculum, not the curriculum's goal, but how he can best reach the aim it sets for him. So everyone has their own kind of unique path, and there are various, spiritual practices and techniques and so on that path, but each person must find their own way. So we're all climbing the mountain to the same top, but we must each find our own way up the mountain. That's the analogy to use. The teacher would just be a guide, even if we're going the same way as the teacher. A course teacher, they are still going to take a slightly different way up the mountain. They're not going to take every step is not going to be identical. They're going to step on different rocks. They might take a little diversion. So we've all got to find our own way, even with the teacher. And then he's saying at the end here, it doesn't really matter if the teacher and the students don't really acknowledge God. Many psychotherapists are agnostic or atheist. It doesn't matter as long as they are letting go. That's really the key. As long as you let go of the ego's negativity, its negative thoughts and emotions, you cannot fail in the end to reveal God, which is just pure formless awareness of perfect love. Even if you didn't acknowledge that there was any kind of presence there, you can't fail for something to start awakening if you keep letting go, because what else is there? Once you let go of everything else, then what remains must be your true awareness, which reveals itself. So you can succeed without any formal belief in God, provided you simply apply the letting go methodology very rigorously without making exceptions, which is very encouraging. So it becomes more about letting go than any kind of formal religious belief. And in time, you will come to know God through that practice of that process and practice of letting go. That's what it's really saying. Okay, so anything else in number 7?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 8. What must teacher do to ensure learning?
What must the teacher do to ensure learning? What must the therapist do to bring healing about? Sorry, just got an interruption there. Sorry, I'll start again. What must the teacher do to ensure learning? What must the therapist do to bring healing about? Only one thing, the same requirement awakening asks of everyone. Each one must share one goal with someone else, and in so doing, lose all sense of separate interests. Only by doing this is it possible to transcend the narrow boundaries the ego would impose upon the self. Only by doing this can teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I, accept at-one-ment and learn to give it as it was received.
Okay, so what's he saying in that one?
Well, what the teacher must do to ensure learning and bring healing about, there's only one thing, and it's the same requirement awakening asks of everyone. Each one must share one goal, but they need to lose all sense of separate interests. So by doing this, it is possible to just transcend the narrow boundaries the ego would impose upon the self. So all of us can accept at-one-ment and learn to give it as it was received.
It's quite helpful to look at examples in this context. So the teacher, the guru, spiritual student relationship, guru initiate, it's a time-honored tradition in the East, is an example of this. They both abandon their separate interests and they have one goal, which is enlightenment, awakening. And both are dedicated to that. That unites them in a common purpose. If the initiate didn't accept that purpose, then the teacher won't accept them as a student. They'll say, well, you have other ideas, other goals. There's no point. They have to dedicate themselves to the same goal as the teacher, which is awakening, and to becoming ultimately as the teacher is, the awakened, enlightened being. That's their goals, to become that. Great example of also two people letting go of their separate interests and joining was Helen and Bill themselves. So they united their minds in a common purpose, which was to find a better way. Bill said, this is crazy, all this conflict going on in our department and these disciplinary hearings that are on the way to disciplinary hearing. He said, there must be a better way than this. And Helen said, yes, I agree, there must be, and I'll help you find it. So they joined in that moment in a united purpose that transcended their separate interests. And that united purpose then gave birth to the course. Because that was the invitation for the Christ mind, the Holy Spirit, in the form of Yeshua to come in and teach, give them this profound teaching, because they agreed that they wanted to find a better way. So it can be as simple as that. Simple joining in a car in a traffic jam in New York City can absolutely change the world. And that's, that actually happened 55 years ago, so 58 years ago, in 1965. That's when it kicked off. Okay. So a call to join, to become one, except we're not separate, we have the same interests, and the teacher or therapist and the student should do that. Obviously, the teacher has to lead the way, but the student has to play their part, because if the student didn't accept it, then, what's the point? Imagine you came on a session and said, no, I don't want to do this. Let's talk about, I don't know, so the weather, or let's talk about politics or economic, I go, well, I can't teach you. There's no, you're not accepting the purpose that I've accepted. So there's no basis for any kind of relationship then. So both have to accept the same goal is important to them. And then, they follow the same curriculum to awakening. And as we teach ourselves. So, when I'm speaking, I'm teaching myself. That's how it works.
It reaffirms,
the more you speak it, the more you speak it, the more you teach it, the more you come to know it as the truth.
Then it becomes more, ingrained.
Just because you're teaching yourself. The more it's affirmation, essentially. You speak, and you speak it for hours and hours and hours. Well, I start to believe it. This has to be so. Yeah. I couldn't be speaking this for hours and hours and hours, and it all be not true. But it reaffirms it, and it confirms in your own mind that this must be the truth. And then the more you look at it, the more you have questions, and the logic of it becomes impeccable. I can't fault this thing. I can't break the logic of the course. So it must be true. It doesn't matter what question anyone asks. You can handle it within this thought system. Even, well, how did the separation ever happen? There's an answer to that. The answer is it never really happened. That's the answer.
It's an illusion. Yeah.
It never happened. It's an illusion. So you think it happened. It didn't really happen. That's kind of the whole point. That's what you got to get over. The thinking that it happened, thinking that it's real. Okay. So let's go on to number 9, the last paragraph.
Communion is impossible alone. No one who stands apart can receive true self's vision. It is held out to him, but he cannot hold out his hand to receive it. Let him be still and recognize his brother's need. His brother's need is his own, and let then meet his brother's need as his, and see that they are, should be companion, shouldn't it? Anyway, see they need as his, and see that they are met as one for each, for such they are. What is religion but an aid in helping him to see that this is so? And what is psychotherapy except a help in just the same direction? It is the goal that makes these processes the same, for they are one in purpose and must there thus be one in means.
Yeah. So what's he saying there?
Well, if you can't do this alone, communion's just not going to happen if you're alone. So, yeah, but you had your Satori moment alone.
Well, I'm not really. I was in a retreat with 50, 60 other people.
But did they also get the Satori moment, though, at the same time?
Well, no, of course not. Everyone's going to have their own experience. Everyone's having their own experiences. So that's the uniqueness of each person's individual journey, but we all had a common purpose. We went there with one common purpose, which was to awaken. Otherwise, why would you go and meditate for 10 days? So there was a meeting of minds, a common purpose, and you accept, therefore, okay, this is the process we're going to go through. We're going to meditate 12 hours a day because that's the modality we've agreed to. And so, yeah, there was a meeting of minds. I joined with the teacher. It's like, and the rest of the students in this purpose to awaken the mind through this practice called Vipassana. And then that led to the Satori moment. So your Satori will be your own moment. Not everyone goes into that at the same time. But the joining that made it possible was necessary first. If I hadn't joined with the purpose of the teacher and the organization, said, okay, I accept that, this practice is helpful in this awakening process, and I accept that, and I believe that as well. There's no basis for any experience. I wouldn't have even been there. Right. So joining in a common purpose to awaken to the truth. However that looks, that was meditation and Buddhist teaching. Whether you do it that way, you do it through the Course, A Course in Miracles, or any other way, it's the purpose that really matters. Which is why when the miracles, the organization that shall remain nameless, because we recorded, then said, well, you're not pure enough to teach the Course. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
A strange thing to say. That is
it's a misunderstanding of these teachings. It's like, well, he even says, there's one universal curriculum. All paths lead to God in the end. So the purpose is not
he
to study the Course. The purpose is to awaken to the truth. The Course is a means to an end. But this is what typically happens. It's so typical of what happens in religions. Formal religions go, oh no, it's not now about the end goal of the awakening. It's about this teaching. It's about this process, this book. And they formalize and they say, no, well, it has to be justice. We have to be now exclusive in justice. And they forget that God is universal. There are so many ways, there's so many parts. And so, the egoic structure develops that says, well, it's only this one.
Yeah, I know when I was on that Circle of Atonement and there was a lady called Mary was taking it, and there was people coming in with various things like Qigong and all the rest of it. And she just said, do you mind if we just sort of stick to the practice rather than diverting into all the other modalities? Yeah. So I
understand that. No, I mean, I absolutely understand that. If you're in teaching in that tradition, then stick to it. But like I do. Me doing a Vipassana doesn't mean that in fact it led to a deeper understanding of the Course's teachings.
He's probably not
much deeper understanding, not a diversion, not taking me away from it. It actually really. Suddenly I understood the whole Course from that one moment of Satori. I was like, I get it. It's like it all just downloaded. I'm like, so it was very, very helpful in an experiential understanding, the knowledge he's talking about of this Course, rather than just studying the theory, which I'd done for years. And I could speak the theory and it's like, it's all good. We can talk the concepts, but to actually know it experientially in that moment, I knew God experientially. And that makes all the difference. Once you've had one experience like that, you know that God exists because you've had the experience. It's no longer a concept.
Yeah.
And that's enormously helpful.
Because that magazine I find quite helpful because it's all different. Everybody has their story to tell about their journey. There's various ones. John Campbell's been on, Alan Cohen, Lisa Natoli, all of those, and I find it quite interesting. Because they're giving their, their journey. So
and inevitably they've all had other influences. No one's just the Course. We all have these other influences, and then you come to the Course and you go, but this makes sense. It's purely logical, and I'll dedicate my life to teaching this. But that doesn't mean you can't go and practice meditation. Go Go and
No,
look at something else. I want to understand, okay, what is this Vipassana technique primarily? And,
yeah,
can that help me to deepen my meditation practice? And yes, they have some Buddhist teachings that go along with it. But those really, I mean, 6 of one and half a dozen of another. They're pretty much the same as the Course. There's really not
yeah.
much difference if you
Because
really
I know
look at it.
John Campbell, he does some writing for the magazine, and he has
Mm.
various modalities that he goes to, not just the Course. In fact, the Course is not. That's why I kind of changed
Well,
from it. It was a very nice course. We chatted
mm,
about various modalities, but I wanted to learn the Course, so that's why I moved on.
yeah.
So, but he's on that magazine, and
Yeah, well, I don't think I think there's probably
you've
some
ruffled their
hypocrisy.
feathers. You must have ruffled their feathers.
You haven't you haven't banned him, but I'm banned because in the end it becomes personal. It's like, oh well, I rocked the boat and I challenged them and I said, well, hang on, this isn't fair. And they said, no, well, we have to follow our policy. And someone had said in some volunteer had imposed their policy. So I guess they felt like they had to back her up because this was organization's policy. So she just applied it. And then they're like, well, okay, if you've applied our policy, even though spiritually speaking, it actually flies in the face of the teaching that the organization is designed to propagate. We have to,
It's a bit unfortunate because most of it is really good. When you read it, and that the various teachers like yourself are good.
well, there'll be
What's his? There's another good
whatever.
one. Keith. Yeah, you'll have to get in there. Yeah, because
Well, it's all in whatever.
yeah, true.
I tell you how I do it.
What's meant?
If money comes, I'll make a donation. Say I'll donate, but then the quid pro quo is you have to let me teach. And we'll see.
Yeah, no, because really, out of all of them, I would say you're the purest. So that's interesting.
Well, that's ironic, isn't it? And I'm the one
is.
who's been excluded. You gotta laugh.
Yeah,
You guys gotta
yeah, of course.
twisted sense. But anyway, it's
Yes.
well, I've just
Yes.
went, okay, well, I'll just get on with it. I'll do my thing and do it anyway. And
Yeah.
some point there will be a resolution, there'll be healing, a letting
course.
go, and because things change. Someone else will come into the organization, or
Yeah.
if I said to them, I'll make a £10,000 donation, are they going to say no? Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
That might be an interesting,
Be an interesting
little equation. Yeah,
experiment.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
just to wrap it up, any final thoughts on this section? I mean, if I was going to ask you to summarize it in a minute, what is the place of religion and psychotherapy? How would you answer that?
Well, they both lead to the same if they join together in their true self. And
yeah, he says at the highest levels they become one.
Yeah.
So true religion is the mystic experience, the knowledge of God. Psychotherapy does the same. So actually, true religion and psychotherapy are the same. That's the message. Really, you could look at the course as a advanced psychotherapeutic course, advanced course in psychotherapy, which leads to the true mystical religious experience of oneness with God. And he's just kind of framing that and saying, well, yes, there's psychotherapy, but this is ultimate psychotherapy, and you're on the right track, essentially. So if you're a psychotherapist or you're a patient and you're studying the course, you're on the right track, because in the end, you will realize that they're the same. You practice the course, you're practicing advanced psychotherapy, and you will be healed accordingly. So psychotherapy leads to the ultimate religious experience of knowledge of God. That's really the place of religion and psychotherapy. It leads to the same place as any spiritual path leads to. Any authentic religion, which would be a spiritual path, leads to. So psychotherapy is just another path to that same experience. Okay, so any other
Okay.
thoughts or comments? I think let's leave it there then. Good session.
Yeah,
But
again,
managed to
another
squeeze
good session.
one in. Go with one out. So had a couple of hours. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that was what
yeah,
do you call it, a bonus? Yeah, because I didn't
a
expect.
bonus. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we had
so
a
that was
couple
good.
of sessions. Tomorrow I probably won't be able to do it all the next day,
Oh,
but if anything
yeah,
changes, I'll let you know on the group.
yeah, yeah. That was a nice surprise. Thank you.
Good. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for showing up. I think it's like doing a monologue. I can't do so.
Yeah,
This
no, well,
means
it
that
worked perfectly.
everyone gets to share on the group, and then on the YouTube videos, there's inevitably a dozen people or so, or more who watch this or listen to this.
Of course,
So,
yeah. No, it was good
you know,
timing, perfect timing. Yeah,
yeah. Well, thanks
it
for
worked well.
joining this time. It was just in
Yeah,
a little gap when I got to go to dinner in 15
yeah.
minutes.
Okay then.
All right. So
Okay,
I'll
thank
see you, if not this week, then probably
Next week.
next. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the first is New Year's Day.
Monday.
Is it right?
It's Monday.
Monday. First is New Year's Day, so
Where are we
maybe
now?
not Monday. So maybe Tuesday. If
Yeah,
not soon. If I can squeeze in a session, I'm going to
yeah.
be staying at a
I'll watch
friend's
out.
on Sunday, so it might be possible for me to squeeze in a session there,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay,
But
I'll
I'll
just
let you know
watch the.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll watch the
that's
group. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Elaine. All right.
Namaste. Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Have a lovely evening. All right. So it's a wrap for today's session. If you enjoyed the session, then subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already done that, you can also join us for our masterclass. It's happening in about 10 days' time. Just go to theaolg.com or look at the message below here in the YouTube video. There's a link there. I register for the free masterclass, and you'll find out more about this program. There's a course I'm starting. It's an introduction to the program in February, and then there's a one-year program of mind transformation based on A Course in Miracles, but we also do breath work, meditation, various other things. So if you like the session, check it out, theaolg.com, register, and you'll get sent the login link via email. And you can also get some of the material I shared up front, the quote and lesson for the day in Telegram every day sent to you. So go to lifepool.com if you'd like to get that and sign up. So that's it from me. It's a wrap for today. Thank you to Elaine for joining. Thank you for watching live or on the recording, and I hope to see you on the inside soon. Namaste, which means the true self, the Christ in me, the true self, and acknowledges and honors that same Christ or true self in you. Peace.